Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a beginner's guide on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I'll be covering the very key things you need to know and also how to make it to the top 10 and maybe get your first chicken dinner. Now, when we load into the lobby, the first thing you're want to do is go grab a gun as fast as possible. And the reason we're going to do this is not to annoy the shit out of other players like a lot of people do, but to actually practice shooting moving targets. You can pick whichever gun you want. They're all going to have iron sights. Unfortunately, we can't practice with the sights available in the game. And we're just going to pick some people running and try to hit them. He was rather stationary, so that didn't count too much. Thing about this game is players are very rarely not moving. It's hard to get a free headshot on someone. So the more we can practice shooting on players that are moving without having to worry about actually dying, the better off we will be. So we're just going to do that until we get in the plane, and here we go. Okay, we first want to figure out which way we're going, and then we can look at the map. There's a few different strategies we can do. You can either drop into a location that's really close to the plane's path. You'll most likely get into contact earlier, so if your goal is to just fight and get better at shooting, you want to pick somewhere that's really close to the plane's path. We can also find somewhere really far away from the plane's path, such as Yasanava up here, and we could either long jump or we could jump along these roads, any of these roads, find a car and immediately go drive up there. Your other option is to pick somewhere that's a little ways away from the plane's path and just do a long jump. So in this instance, I'm going to pick these houses just north of Gadco. Now for jumping, if you point your camera straight down and hold W, you will actually go faster to the ground. If you're going for a longer jump, you're going to want to have your character as flat as possible, hold W, and kind of keep your mouse pointed up. Now the more you play this, the better you'll be able to judge how early you actually need to release your parachute. Obviously, the higher you release it, the farther you will be able to go. I'm going to go ahead and pop it right now. And with this, you want to use your W or forward key to just rock your chute back and forth. The best speed I've found is to maintain in the 30s. And you will get better at this the more you practice. You can actually long jump huge distances the better you get. For this situation, it wasn't too far, so not a very difficult jump. Okay, as we're coming down, you want to make sure you look around using the free look key just to get an idea for where other players are. If another player is dropping into the same compound as you, the most important thing is going to be to get a gun as fast as possible. You also want to check the map as soon as you can just to see if you're in the circle or not. In this case we are, so we can kind of take our time looting. If you're in an area, let's say the circle was way over here somewhere, and we'd actually have to run to it, then we wouldn't be able to loot for as long. We either have to find a car if it's really far or just start running. With the different plane position, let's say we want to do a long jump. And we are actually going to shoot for Milta. Pretty good distance away. So again, we're going to wait until the marker is just perpendicular to the plane's wing before we jump. And we're going to want to point our guy as high as possible. And then as soon as our chute becomes available, we're going to release it. Now we're just going to rock back and forth the whole way down. You're going to want to keep your chute between 30 and 40 miles an hour. And when I say miles, I do mean kilometers. Many times, long jumping like this can work out in your favor. such as if the circle happens to come to this area, because the majority of the players are going to be in this range here. However, if the circle does go to this area, we won't have as much time to loot, although we do know it'll be a much safer looting process with no one else around. Also, whenever you're dropping like this, it's a good idea to just check out the road below you and look for any cars. If you do spot a car down there, you can always head straight for it and take the car. And as predicted in this instance, not a good idea to jump there. So if something like that happens, you have to make a choice. You could either drop straight down, loot what you can, or continue on with your goal. Now, early game looting, if someone's with you, the most important thing is to find a gun. In our case, no one is, so we're actually safe. The best thing you could do is, just depending on your playstyle, you want to be looking for an assault rifle and also meds and attachments. The boosts are good. Those are going to allow you to heal up to your maximum health, because things like first aid kits and bandages will only do 75% of your health. Your two options for boosts are aspirin and energy drinks, and you can also get a syringe in one of the crates. Always check these doors that go onto the little balconies. You'll frequently find stuff out there, and a lot of players actually skip over that. You can use gas cans if your car is running out of gas. Okay, we found an AR, and we're actually going to tab drag, just because that makes it a little bit easier to see what's on the ground. You can occasionally miss something if you're just looking down, because it'll be hidden under something else. Okay, if you right click on a site, for instance here, it'll automatically attach to one of your weapons. You can't choose which weapon it attaches to. So if, for instance, I had an AK and an M4 right now, if I right clicked on that, it would just go to whichever one it wanted. And we're going to run in circles for a bit here. Okay, for ammo, it is all color-coded, so you'll quickly start to figure out which color ammo you need for which gun you have. I've got an AK, so that uses 7.62, which is going to be yellow ammo. If you're using an M4, M16, it's going to be green. Then 9mm is going to be an orangish color, and then of course the blue is for 45 ammo. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up just in case. We're going to upgrade our backpack. Okay, we found another AK here. We actually don't want it, but I'm going to take it just because we don't have another gun. Got a first aid kit. And take another sight. The most important thing early game is to get a gun, a backpack, some meds, and also hopefully some ammo. And that will set you up to at least be able to fight. The leveled stuff, obviously level 2 is better than level 1. Gives you a better reduction for damage incoming. And you will start to notice, just as the more you play, which attachments go to which weapons. If you hit the tab key, get into your inventory, it'll actually tell you what it's good for if you hover over the description. You can also just pick up individual items like that by pressing F, but typically using tab is faster, and it also allows you to get a better idea of what's on the ground. I have on occasion missed things like silencers and other items just because they were hidden under other objects. So it's a good practice, and you will start to notice, just as the more you play, which attachments go to which weapons. If you hit the tab key, get into your inventory, it'll actually tell you what it's good for if you hover over the description. You can also just pick up individual items like that by pressing F, but typically using tab is faster, and it also allows you to get a better idea of what's on the ground. I have on occasion missed things like silencers and other items just because they were hidden under other objects. Okay, when should I take a car and when should I walk to the circle? Let's take a look at the map. In this instance, you should definitely take a car to get to the next circle. You can survive outside the first few circles as long as you pop some boosts. That'll allow you to heal gradually over time. If the circle had been very close to me, your best bet would be to run. You can also, depending on where the plane started, you can take a car and drive to the opposite side of the circle, and that could give you some other areas to loot that possibly don't have players there yet. While you're out driving, it is a good idea to not hit invisible objects. While you're out driving, keep track of where the towns are. It is generally not a good idea to drive really close to a large town or next to it like I'm doing currently, because there's an above average chance you will actually get shot at. So if you can, take the back roads, and by back road I mean go where there are no roads. It'll give you some cover in the vehicle and also make you less likely to be seen, such as this guy driving straight down the road. Okay, now that we're in the middle half of the game, if we have a circle that's closer, such as this one, unless you want to try to go on the far side, it's best to not use a vehicle just because you can stay quieter going in and not as many people will know where you are. So we're just going to take the quiet approach here. Final 8. What do we do? Generally in this situation, since we're on such the smallest side of the circle, we're going to actually wait until the blue starts moving just because this place is super crowded and we don't know where anyone is. We're going to full boost. And then we're just going to move along this wall here where we can have a tiny bit of cover. It's not going to give us much. Four guys left. So we know there's at least 2 over that way. We are going to have to push up to them, unfortunately. Trying to get a little bit closer here. In these situations, you really don't want to shoot unless you actually absolutely have to, just because you'll immediately give away your position. Alright, there's a guy right there by that blue crate. 2 guys left alive. Okay, so we know the guy that was over there, in theory, is the last remaining. Now, unfortunately, whoever moves here first is most likely dead, and I can't be for certain if the guy that was over there got killed, or if it was the one over there that got killed. So if I move up on this position, he very well could shoot me from the left. So. And that's how we do it, folks. Alright guys, thank you for hanging around for this beginner tips and tricks. Hope it will give you some insight on things to do better, ways you can improve. If you have any questions or anything, just hit me up in the comments below. Thanks guys.